Hi everyone, this is Mr. Wu. For the past few weeks, we have been working on a paper 4 about helicopter parenting. We have worked on preparing ideas and creating an organized note card for group discussions. So today we will focus on making an individual response or an IR. Now, if you remember in the DSE speaking exam, it has two parts, part A and part B. In part A, you have a 10-minute preparation. That's when you read the paper, paper 4, you prepare your ideas and you create your note cards. And then you will take that note cards into a group discussion. If you are in a group of 4 students, you will discuss for 8 minutes. If you are in a group of 3 students, you will discuss for only 6 minutes. So that's part A. And when you finish part A, you will continue immediately with part B. Now in part B, there is no preparation. You have no time to write any notes or make any note cards. What you have to do instead is to give a 1-minute individual response to a question that the examiner and the teacher asks you. Right? So it is quite challenging. What I would like to do today is to take you through the steps and give you some ways of talking about your ideas. Okay, let's say in the exam, the teacher or the examiner asks you this question. Do you think helicopter parenting is common in Hong Kong? Do you think helicopter parenting is common? Okay, so you have to answer this question in 1 minute. So how should you do it? And what can you say? When you give a good answer, when you give a good response, you need to do 6 things. Number 1, you should acknowledge the question. That's when you thank the examiner and the teacher for asking a question. Number 2, state the topic. All right, you have to show that you understand what the question is asking you to answer. Then, in number 3, you would give a clear answer. Yes, no, or whatever your answer is. And then, number 4, you should explain your answer with more details, with evidence, with reasons, etc. And when you do that, you can make your answer clear to the teacher and the examiner. And before 1 minute is up, you have to conclude briefly. And then you close your answer. So these are the 6 things, these are the 6 steps that you should take when you answer the question. So what can you say? Okay, so let's use the question as an example, and I'm going to give you examples of how you can answer the question. All right, the first step, you have to acknowledge the question. Okay, how can you do that? What should you say? You can just simply say, thank you for the question. Right? And then you want to state the topic. You want to show the examiner, do you understand? You understood what the question is asking you to talk about. And you do that by saying, about whether helicopter parenting is common, ... Okay, because that's a question, right? All right, so then you give your clear answer. Is it common or is it not common, or what do you think? You can say, I think it is quite common. among Chinese parents in Hong Kong? All right, so here's a clear answer. Now, after you have given your answer clearly, you should then explain with details, with more information. What can you say? Here's an example. I believe the main reason is that many Chinese parents feel their children's education is very important. They try very hard to make sure that their children study hard, do their schoolwork, and score good exam marks. Okay, so that's one reason, the main reason. And then you can say more. Also, they try to stop their children from spending too much time on mobile games or socializing. Unfortunately, that puts a lot of pressure on the children. All right, so that's your answer. Make sure that you have enough ideas to talk for 1 minute. And notice here I use the word also to introduce my second reason, my second idea. All right, so don't forget to use linking words like first, second, third, then, also, all right, to connect and organize your ideas. So before 1 minute is up, you have to conclude briefly. What can you say? I think because of the importance of education, we see many helicopter parents in Hong Kong. Okay, so you summarize by repeating your main idea, your main point. And when you close, you can say, I hope I have answered your question. Thank you for your attention. Now here, when you close, try not to say, this is the end of my presentation, because you are not really making a presentation. You are simply answering a question that the examiner asks you. So all you have to do is to thank the examiner for paying attention, for listening to your answer. Okay, so simply say, thank you for your attention. All right, so that's an example of how and what you should answer the question. Next, what I would like to do is to give you more ways of talking about your ideas in your answer. All right, so when you acknowledge the question, you can also say, your question asks me about ... or you asked me about ... Okay. When you state the topic, okay, when you show that you understood the question, you can do that by saying regarding ... or on the subject of ... Okay, when you give your answers clearly, you can say, in my opinion ... I truly, or I strongly, or I really feel that ... Okay, so these are the different ways you can talk about your ideas in each step. Let's continue on to step 4. That's when you explain with details, right? What can you say? In my experience ... according to a study ... here's an example ... Notice that these are 3 different ways of explaining your answer. Okay, in my experience, okay, that's when you talk about what has happened to you. That's always a good idea, a good thing to do, because when you bring in your experience, when you bring in real experiences, it makes your answer interesting and real. You can also bring in some research or data or statistics or facts to support your answer. Okay, that's when you say according to a study. And it's always a good idea to give some examples so that the examiner can understand more clearly what you are talking about. All right, so there are 3 ways that you can explain your answer. And when you conclude briefly, you can say, in a nutshell, dot, 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 or in summary, dot, dot, dot. And when you close, you can say, I hope you would agree with me, or I hope my answer is clear, or simply, thank you. All right, so when you practice, try to use these expressions in your answer and to talk about your ideas. To give you some practice, I have prepared a worksheet which I have sent in the email. Okay, now let's pretend, let's assume, okay, let's say that the examiner asks you this question: is it good for parents to always check their children's schoolwork? Is it good for parents to always check their children's schoolwork? Okay, so how do you feel about that? What's your answer? Use the worksheet that I sent you, that I gave you, to prepare your answer, to prepare your response. Write down what you're going to say. Make sure you use good grammar. Make sure you use good vocabulary. Make sure you use some of the expressions that I just shared with you. Okay, and when you finish, read your answer out loud a few times. Okay, and time yourself to make sure that you have enough idea to talk for about 1 minute. Okay, if your answer is only 30 minutes long, then maybe you have to add some idea. If you are talking way over 1 minute, then maybe you have to cut some ideas. All right, try to finish on time. So have some practice, and I will see you next time.